Night falls over Balthian's homestead. His wife Jennia begins lighting extra torches around their dining room to keep the darkness away from the inside of their sanctuary. Balthian pours himself a goblet of wine while his guests Fatine and Rusen look on expectantly.
Could I have a glass?
What? We're on duty.
We're waiting out a snowstorm in someone's house.
Suit yourself. I prefer to stay alert.
Balthian hands a goblet to Rusen, while Jennia returns to her painting easel. So, what other stories would you want Balthian to tell?
Ooh, I've always wanted to know how Balthian got his sword.
Not much to tell. It's just a standard Azure Scale blade I've maintained over the years.
That's it? There wasn't anything that would make it special, like being passed down from a mentor or something?
Why would my sword be more special? Because of some arbitrary history? I think it's more meaningful that it's just mine.
I guess I always thought heroes and their weapons just had something innately significant about them.
It's not an uncommon thought. Even I used to have it. About myself. And others. Speaking of which, what do you know about the hero Torasa?
She was one of the kingdom's greatest, before you. When she got older, the king asked her to govern the crime-infested Port Vasok. After over a decade improving the city, she was assassinated by the criminal underworld.
She was one of the greatest. I looked up to her, like you do me. But the circumstances of her death are not quite the story the general public knows.
Balthian takes a long sip of wine, then sets the goblet down and begins his tale. "36 years ago, as Balthian was just beginning to cement his legendary status, he found himself in Port Vasok, the Matysian kingdom's southwestern port city. He was barely there for a week when he was awoken in the middle of the night by the city guard and taken to Mayor Torasa's office. The room was lavishly decorated with purple Balsavi rugs and curtains, and a large painting depicting a battle from 3 decades earlier hung on the wall. Torasa, a weathered woman of about 65 years, glared at him impatiently as he entered.
"I've been wanting to meet you for some time, hero."
Really? I've been wanting to meet you too. But why in the middle of the night?
This was the only gap in my schedule. Keeping the city from sliding back into a crime-ridden cesspool takes up a lot of time.
Right, regardless. It is an honor to meet you, Mayor Torasa. I grew up with stories about you.
I didn't bring you here to start praising me for things I did half my life ago. I need your help.
Oh, of course. What's the problem?
When I took over this city 20 years ago, it was a decrepit hive of murderers and slavers. I have eradicated these criminals, except for one last elusive blemish, the Thieves' Guild. I want you to infiltrate them and help me take them down. It isn't quite your usual escapade, I know. I won't force you to do it if you don't want to, but know that helping my city helps the whole kingdom.
I can handle anything.
In the morning, Balthian set Torasa's plan into motion. He allowed himself to be kicked out of the inn he'd been staying in and spent a few days roaming the city streets as a vagrant. Finally, on the 4th day, he was approached by a rather shady individual with a thick beard.
Hello there, friend. They seem to have fallen on hard times.
After 3 days being homeless, I hadn't noticed.
Yeah, hard times indeed. What's your name, friend?
Call me Scald.
Scald. I like it. Suits your, intimidating physique. I'm Delik, and I might have an opportunity for you.
What is it?
Now, hold on, Scald, not yet. I need to trust you first to know you're a proper scoundrel.
Why do you think I'm out here? I was, let's say, less than reputable before I moved here. Innkeeper found out, and she threw me out on the street.
What a scumbag. Oh, don't you worry. My organization can give you a roof over your head and coins in your pocket.
Are you talking about the Thieves' Guild?
Thieves Guild? Are you crazy? No. We're the Thieves Coalition. Guilds pay taxes, keep records. Very bad for thieves.
Ah, my mistake.
Don't worry, it's a common one. Now, here's the deal. You help do a job, prove yourself trustworthy, and maybe I'll put in a good word for you in the guild. Wait, no, the coalition. Now you got me all mixed up. All right, whatever. So the job. You in?
Sure. I should warn you, I'm more of a muscle type than a, sneaking type.
Oh, don't you worry. I figured that.
That night, Delik had Balthian lead him to his former inn. The hero provided a distraction. Declaring his displeasure over having been thrown out, he started a bar fight.
Hey, you think you can just throw me out?
You'll pay for that!
While the brawl occupied everyone's attention, Delik snuck into the back room and took all the coin he could. It was quick and easy, at least for Delik. When the confusion of the fight reached its peak, Balthian slipped out of the inn to meet Delik in a nearby alleyway.
Brilliant work! Here's your cut.
Delik handed Balthian a pouch of coins. It wasn't much, but the means by which he'd gotten it made it feel unsettlingly heavy.
I'm assuming I'll need to do more jobs to prove myself.
Absolutely, that's very astute for the muscle, huh? Hey, don't worry, it won't be too much more. In the meantime, you'll need somewhere to stay. Follow me. I got a couple personal hideouts you can use till you earn your spot in our club.
Balthian followed Delik through the alleys toward this hideout, all the while questioning how long he could stomach this assignment. Over the next month, Delik made Balthian rob several merchant establishments around the city, all small places run by the vulnerable citizens Balthian had sworn to protect. He learned how to be stealthier, how to spot lapses in attention, and even how to use smoke bombs. Finally, at the end of the week after ransacking a shipment storage house, Delik gave Balthian some good news.
Congratulations, Scald! After tonight, you're officially in the Coalition. You get to meet with our master thief and be part of a real job.
What does that mean? A real job?
A child could have done these jobs. We're just easing you into it. And taking from people who won't hire black shepherds as revenge.
Black shepherds?
Now, you don't want to deal with them, trust me. Torasa likes to claim she's cleaned up the whole city except for us, but those assassins are still running and stabbing freely. That seem clean to you?
Never heard of them.
Oh, don't worry. You'll get your chance to piss them off like the rest of us. For now, I'll tell you when and where to meet the master thief.
After Delik left, a man in a plain grey robe approached Balthian.
Come with me. Torasa wishes to speak with you.
The messenger led Balthian to a ship moored at the city docks and gestured for him to step on board. Balthian entered the captain's quarters and found himself once again face to face with Torasa.
Balthian, it's been a month. Please, report.
You caught me just in time. I'm about to meet the master thief. I think I'm close.
Good. Now tell me, how do you feel about helping these cutthroats?
I hate it. I'm stealing from people I'm supposed to help. It's not what a hero would do.
I understand. Cleaning up this city, I had to do many things I knew a hero would never do, and it broke my heart every time. I just have to remind myself of the good that comes from these personal compromises.
What is it that you've had to do?
Do you really want to know?
If it might prepare me for what's ahead, yes.
The first group I ever dealt with was a smuggling ring at these very docks. I sent some negotiators to propose legitimizing their operation, letting what was working in the city continue, only safer. You know, compromise. They sent the negotiators back in pieces. I hunted for them for months. Lost many more good men and women in the process. Always butchered and sent back in these fancy small boxes. So I responded in kind. I repaid every drop of blood they took, with interest, until the survivors disbanded. That's just one of many groups I had to deal with while cleaning up this wretched hive for the last 20 years. Does that satisfy your curiosity?
Yes.
Let's make the death of the thieves coalition far less painful, shall we?
As Balthian began to leave, he turned to take another look at Torasa. She looked so worn down in the dancing candlelight of the cabin. The vibrant hero he'd heard stories about while growing up had withered away into this tired, bitter ghost. When early morning quietly overtook the night, Balthian travelled to the meeting spot. It was a modest but comfortable living space above one of the shops that he and Delik had robbed during his initiations. Delik was already there, waiting for him with a Charcasan in a long, ragged black cloak.
Are you the master thief? I didn't expect a Charcasan.
The great Jessie must experience all of mortal life, including the life of crime.
Why are we meeting here? We robbed this place.
A test, Skald. The merchants you robbed all work for us. Everything has already been returned to them.
We try not to really steal food from the small fish. Not when there are whales in the city.
Speaking of which, you have one final job before we can formally induct you into the Thieves' Coalition. We have discovered a stronghold of the Black Shepherd assassins. We will go tonight and rob their entire treasury of blood money.
We? Are you coming with us?
Yes, it's an important job, and I will be able to help while evaluating you directly.
What's the plan?
By sunrise, the strategy was set. The thieves split up to rest and prepare through the day, and when night fell once again, they met up at the same spot to begin their dangerous mission. The master thief ushered Balthian and Delik through the city to a hidden door near the heart of the port. They stepped through it and into a system of underground catacombs, where the master thief handed Balthian a map and a small torch.
Courtesy of one of your new sisters in the Coalition. Well, take the lead. It's your test, after all.
Balthian led the two thieves through the winding corridors of cold carved stone, tracing their path with his finger as they went. After an unknowable amount of time, they reached what the map declared to be the edge of the Black Shepherd's base. Balthian smothered his torch, and the trio continued in darkness until they came across another source of torchlight.
I don't see any guards.
Let's take a look inside.
Through the door, they could see what looked like an ancient indoor theater, with rows of stone benches descending downwards onto a stage. A man and a woman, each clad in black leather armor, dueled on the stage with wooden swords, while several others watched from the nearby seats.
That's them, all right.
Where's their vault?
We think it's through that door on the other side of the theater.
You think?
What? Your scout get cold feet?
Yes. She was afraid of delving deep into a lair of trained killers by herself. Is there a problem?
Well, not for her.
Balthian led the way round the back of the theater towards the other doorway. He gripped the hilt of his sword tightly, ready to fight the moment they were discovered. They crossed through the doorway into another chamber and quickly ducked behind a large pile of bricks nearby.
I followed this master thief from the meeting. He is rather good at evading tales, but not good enough. I found their stronghold.
Balthian peeked out from the brick pile, and at first, he did not believe what he saw. On the far side of the room stood Torasa, speaking with the same man who had escorted Balthian to her ship.
Good. Have you already sent some shepherds to clean it out?
Yes, the Thieves' Coalition should be wiped out by morning. If I may ask, my lady, what are your plans for us afterwards?
Worried about being next, are you? Unfortunately for me, and fortunately for you, our work is never done. We just keep killing the rats whenever they pop up.
How could she?
Is that the voice of our lovely mayor?
I had suspicions she was working with the shepherds. Her critics do keep disappearing, after all.
What?
Once I have proof of the Coalition's destruction, you'll be paid.
Torasa walked towards a door on the far side of the room. Balthian started to draw his sword, but felt a hand grab his wrist.
We can't fight them here. We have to get back to our hideout and save as many thieves as we can.
Balthian looked back across the room. Torasa was gone, and the man was headed in their direction.
She's gone, and he's coming this way.
What?
Go. I'll keep him busy.
Before either thief had the chance to object, Balthian stood up, drew his sword, and stepped in front of the attendant.
What are you doing here?
You're a black shepherd. She is a black shepherd.
No, she is not one of us. She has only bound us to her service, and no one can know. Shepherds, to me!
Wait. Aren't you interested why I'm here?
Not too hard to figure out. The thieves found us and sent you here to prove yourself.
As the assassin spoke, Balthian could hear the footsteps of several black shepherds entering the room to surround him. He glanced behind him and saw that the thieves were gone.
Who do you think hired us?
Does it matter?
Torasa did. She wanted to take back all the payment she had given to you.
That's absurd. How would she even know how to contact the thieves if she needed you to help find them?
Contacting them is much easier than finding where they live. Now she gets to turn the last criminal groups in her city against each other and destroy them both.
And why would you tell me this?
Maybe I don't like being left in the dark.
And maybe you're stalling! Shepherds, kill him!
Suddenly there was a yell, followed by a bang, and the room filled with smoke.
What the?
Smoke bomb! Spread out! Don't let him get away!
Scald, come with me!
Balthian heard the sound of bodies colliding and hitting the ground, then felt a hand grab his wrist and lead him out of the smoke-filled room. Once they were clear, Delik let go of Balthian, and the two began running back towards the tunnel complex.
You should have left.
Well, the master did, but I couldn't leave my favorite student.
Balthian and Delik rushed through the catacombs, quickly outpacing the assassins behind them who had yet to fully recover from Delik's surprise attack. Soon enough, the two were back above ground in the city streets. Delik took the lead through the winding alleyways until they reached an abandoned storehouse in the middle of the slums.
This is where we've been staying. If we're lucky, everyone will have already left for another...
Balthian and Delik entered the warehouse to the gruesome sight of a massacre. A few of the many dead bodies were black shepherds, but most were thieves. Delik looked over the carnage in despair, while Balthian clenched his fist in grim determination.
My name isn't Scald, it's Balthian. I was working with Torasa to arrest you, but I had no idea about all of this. I'm going to confront her.
Okay, well, I have several questions.
I suggest you find somewhere to hide.
Balthian went to Torasa's office and found it empty. He waited the rest of the night, but she never came. Eventually, he left, and just outside her building, he found yet another macabre display from the Black Shepherds. Torasa's dead body hung by the wrists from a long shepherd's staff in the middle of the town square, surrounded by terrified citizens. The Black Shepherds had believed Balthian's impulsive lie, and now Torasa, revered hero and mayor of Port Vasok, was dead. A chilled silence hangs over the table as Balthian finishes his tale. Jennia rests a comforting hand on her husband's shoulder. Fatine silently reaches across the table and pours herself a cup of wine.
If there was any good that came from that, the entire town united to hunt down and destroy the Black Shepherds. I left the city soon after and went back to the capital and tried to put the whole thing out of my mind. It took me years to truly understand the lessons of Port Vasok, that the careless actions of a hero can have devastating, unforeseen consequences, and that a hero can fall very far when pushed too hard.
I can't believe Torasa would ever do something like that. She was one of the kingdom's greatest.
So our stories are lies and our heroes are really bad. Is that what you're trying to tell us?
No, not at all. Even if her stories were embellished like mine, Torasa did do the good deeds ascribed to her in her prime. But when we only know someone from legends, we have no idea who they really are and what they can do.
Maybe they need a more encouraging story next time.
Probably. But it's rather late now. I'll show you to our guest room. You can sleep off this story And in the morning, I'll tell you about my light in the darkness.